we are doing a very simple GOAT draft. GOATs in a good way, for a change. The best at their positions all time. Any position you want to take, that's what we'll do. Peter, you've got the trivia question for me to determine the first pick.
I have the trivia question. Mike, we talked earlier about Russell Wilson being a third-round draft choice for the Seattle Seahawks in 2012, and obviously has gone on to an exemplary NFL career in his 9 years. So, I want you to tell me, in that draft, there was a punter drafted before Russell Wilson. Who was he?
Oh, gosh. I've known this for years. Brian Anger. There it is. Brian Anger.
Yes. Yeah. There was a pick made in anger by the Jacksonville Jaguars.
The Jacksonville Jaguars. You could have had Russell Wilson, and you took a punter. Whoever the GM was at the time gets fired again for that. You get fired every year that someone remembers that the Jaguars took a punter with Russell Wilson still on the board. All right, GOAT drafts. This can go a lot of different ways because there are a lot of GOATs at the various positions. I got to go because in my mind it's got to be the separation, the clear undisputed GOAT at their position. And for me, it's got to be Lawrence Taylor at the edge rusher, outside linebacker, defensive end, whatever position you want to call it. Best pass rusher of all time, Lawrence Taylor. Final answer.
Yeah, I like that one a lot, Mike. I think you're absolutely right. I'm going to now go to the quarterback position, and I'm going to take Tom Brady. As I wrote in my column the other day, you know, Joe Montana and Terry Bradshaw had won 4 Super Bowls by the time they were 34 years old. Tom Brady has won 4 Super Bowls since he was 37. And so I think what we're seeing in Brady is not only greatness at the position, and you could argue that he's certainly not, in terms of talent, the greatest talent that ever played that position. Maybe he doesn't have the arm of Marino. He doesn't have the, certainly he doesn't have the quickness of almost anyone. But I just think the entire package, the leadership package, everything is there. And I'll take Brady at quarterback.
Quick note on Brady. MDS has argued in the past that you could separate Tom Brady's career at 2008 and he would get in the Hall of Fame twice, pre and post. And maybe by the time he's done in Tampa, you could have a third Tom Brady bust for what he does with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. It really is amazing, the longevity and the achievement. And yes, greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady. Next one for me, I'll go Jerry Rice as the top receiver of all time. And it's strange. Every once in a while, Randy Moss pops off that he was better, and people sign on to that. Look, Randy Moss had the best skill set, the best God-given talent of any receiver, but he chose not to maximize it. He went to Oakland and disappeared. He quit on his team too many times. Jerry Rice was always driven, always motivated, always productive, always working, always trying, always effort, and that's why he's got all the records, and that's why they're not going to be broken, and that's why he's the GOAT at the position. He combined God-given ability with full and complete dedication and effort and maximized the ability he was given and exceeded it. So, in my mind, he's the best receiver.
I'm going to take a very slight detour on this interesting little segment of our show, and I'm going to say, I would argue with you, and if you want to say that Jerry Rice is the greatest of all time, I'm not going to say you're absolutely wrong, but I am going to say that Don Hudson deserves to be in the discussion because when he retired from football in 1945, he had 3 times as many touchdowns for 3 times as many receiving yards with 3 times as many receptions, roughly, as the number 2 guy in the first 25 years of the NFL. And obviously, it wasn't a passing league then. But I will just add this. He held for 44 years the receiving touchdowns record in the NFL until Steve Largent broke it in 1989. So, I'm not going to argue with you, but I am going to say I don't think it's a slam dunk. I'm going to go to offensive tackle. And my offensive tackle would be Anthony Munoz. Now, truth in advertising here. I covered the Cincinnati Bengals in 1984. And one day I was walking by Jim McNally's line coach. And in those days, covering the NFL was a much different animal. I walked by Jim McNally's office 5 times a day when I was covering the Bengals. I walked by every position coach's office. It was a little dumpy building under a viaduct on the west side of Cincinnati. And he called me in. He said, "Peter, come in here. I want you to look at this." And he started showing me some tape of the previous day's game that the Bengals played. And he just said, "I've just done something that I've never done in my coaching career. I have given an offensive lineman a perfect grade. On every snap of this game, he excelled and never made one mistake the entire game. I've never seen it before." And I just look at that, and I look at the body of work in a decade-plus career. I think Anthony Munoz is the best tackle there ever was.
Every time I hear Anthony Munoz's name, I remember when he was early in his career. John Madden had not quite appreciated or understood the nuances of the tilde, and he called him Munoz repeatedly. Anthony Munoz played well enough that everyone pronounced his name right. Sims has that issue with the pina colada, by the way. He calls it the pina colada, but even when he's not here, I can't get him out of my head. Next, I'm going to go Barry Sanders, just because in my mind, Barry Sanders was the greatest running back of all time. He retired prematurely. He could have stayed longer, I know. He would have had all the records if he had. He's still 4th all-time now in rushing. But just the way he moved, the way he, we've seen Tyreek Hill twist guys around downfield. I mean, that was Barry Sanders all the time. Once he busted through the line, it was a man among boys, even though he was smaller than most of the guys who were trying to tackle him, Peter.
To me, the ultimate man among boys is Jim Brown at that position because, he's a 235 or whatever he was, 230-pound guy. And so many of the linebackers he was steamrolling were 230 pounds. Whereas today it's a little bit different. Devin White taking on, the more diminutive backs. But that one I would really disagree. I would definitely take Jim Brown over Barry Sanders. As much as you're right, he is the greatest in terms of change of direction, make people miss player, not just running back, in NFL history.
All right, is that your last pick or you got one? Is Jim Brown your pick?
That's it. Oh, are we going another one? I thought we were going.
No,
okay,
no.
I'm going to go
your third round.
I'm sorry. I'm going to go to safety, and I'm going to pick Ronnie Lott because not only was he able to put the fear of God into guys, he was able also early in his career to be a good cover corner. I thought he was a safety for all seasons.
Apologies to Ray Guy and Adam Vinatieri. I was thinking of you guys, but sorry, you're punters and kickers, but still, in my mind, they're the 2 best ever at those positions.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.